Good morning. It's time once again for Trust Matters, Real Estate and Estate Planning Solutions with Sean Robertson of Gateville Law Firm. They're in Yorkville and online at gatevillelawfirm.com. And Sean in studio again on this morning where we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic here. Sean, thanks for joining us as we've got a topic that we touched on last week, but a different circumstance here today. It's all about the importance of making a plan ahead of time and what happens if you don't. And,
correct.
Kind of a unique scenario here. What happened?
Yeah, so basically, like I was telling you off the air, we had a client that called us. One of her sister referred her sister to us. The gentleman was in the hospital, and essentially he's on his deathbed. There's a blended family, so there's stepchildren involved, which makes it even more complicated, and they're not getting anything, which even makes it more complicated. And our notary was working with them, and we got the documents done in like a day because of the emergency. So essentially, during the trust signing, the notary told me that she thought the client died. He stopped breathing a couple times.
Literally during the signing?
Yeah, during the signing. And like I told you before, it's happened to me maybe 14, 15 years ago it happened. My client had cancer. So you're just looking at everybody thinking like, uh-oh. So it's a tough situation because you really can't adequately explain the consequences of these documents when somebody really doesn't have the energy to talk for a minute.
So what happens in this case where you're literally in the process of signing and working through everything, and then this happens?
Yeah, so, I mean, the notary, and if we were there, we would have obviously, and the notary did call me. It was in Chicago, so that's why I didn't go, because I didn't want to charge the client more money. But your notary and witnesses just have to just know that the person understand what they're signing. And truth of the matter, you kind of rely on the family member maybe a little bit more than you should. But most of the time they trust their family member, and you do what they want, and you ask them, do you understand what you're signing? And you take the person out of the room that is a relative, and just to make sure there's no coercion going on.
And as you said at the outset, this is a situation with a blended family. So how much more complex did that make it?
It makes it much more complex, because if there's any case that's going to get challenged, it's going to be this one, particularly when the person that was on his deathbed, they called me and asked me a question, and they said, can the person give permission to another party, the wife, to sign his name and as a proxy? And the answer is no. He had to sign. He could make a dot. Somebody could help him. And he was having a tough time with that. So, these are the type of cases that get challenged because somebody thinks that stepmom is taking advantage. So you got to be careful.
And this all came about because they just didn't have this plan made out ahead of time. It all came down to the last minute, and then the worst case scenario, pretty much.
Correct. And not only that, but when they contacted us, it took a little while for the wife to, finalize everything, meaning pay us to sign the engagement. And the guy just kept going further and further in decline.
So a proactive plan, maybe had they done this a year ahead of time or 6 months ahead of time, would have taken all of this out of question here. So what are families looking at if they want to try to do a proactive plan and avoid all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is just kind of use us to guide you. Like, for example, we had somebody that came in yesterday that has a blended family, and he basically said, help. I know what I want to do, but I don't want this to go bad. And so that's kind of our role.
Yeah, that's the key, because this can be very complicated stuff. And as you mentioned, you might have in mind how you want things to go, but how do you get there? What are some of the things you have to do to make sure that it goes smooth, you avoid court, and that's where Gateville Law Firm can come in. So give them a call, and they'll answer all of your questions. They'll set up a consultation. They'll talk to you and help you through this process. Call 630-780-1034. You can go online to gatevillelawfirm.com. Sean and his team, they're located close by in Yorkville, serving families throughout Kent County and the surrounding area. Join us again next time for Trust Matters Real Estate and Estate Planning Solutions with Gateville Law Firm and Sean Robertson.